Well, hot topic in the social media sphere that has circulated recently. Topic related to one of those primary weapons of sick feminine energy, which is kind of a spiritual and social matter that I've discussed a little bit on this channel before. Gossip. In some religious systems, religious communities, it's literally considered a sin to gossip. And gossip is almost always dark and destructive, even if it seems like people are protecting themselves and warning others about dangerous individuals or, something like that. It's usually people spreading information or taking some element of truth and twisting it, just outright lying in some cases, to get attention, to build connection with people, or just for the sheer glee of wielding that kind of power of talking about someone else and drawing in a crowd. So gossip. I've definitely been the target of gossip, which, I guess the eventuality of gossip usually is reputation destruction, even if it's not unintentional. That's why gossip is such a destructive and dangerous tool that manifests from a place of sick feminine energy. But this app that's been created essentially to gossip about men without their knowledge, without their permission, because when sick feminine energy moves in and performs dark attacks, one of the important strategies to make this kind of tool potent is to have it not out in the open where that can be challenged. So when gossip happens, it's usually important that the target of the gossip, the subject of the gossip, is either partially aware, they're sort of vaguely aware of some kind of information being spread about them, or ideally, from this place of sick feminine energy, ideally, the target of that gossip is completely unaware, but their reputation is poisoned with people around them in their community, whether that's physical in a neighborhood like I've experienced, or in an online community, which has its own kind of locality and reach. So this app was created by a gay man, actually. And I've observed some gay men really enjoy this act of gossip, of spilling the tea, which is an idiom that I guess is the source of the name of this app. It's called Tea, or the Tea app. And it was presented as a way for women to communicate about men that they had bad experiences with, to warn women about these men, and to protect women in general, to protect the female community by displaying men with pictures, personal information, descriptions of who they are, usually some very narrow perspective on a negative experience that a woman had with this man or women had with this man, and to twist truth and spread lies. So it was presented as a way to protect women, but really under the surface, functionally, it was just a way for women to gossip about men and slander their name, destroy their reputation. And these days, it's almost a sport for women, in some cases men, sometimes straight men, sometimes gay men, but more often women, coming from a place of sick feminine energy, will use gossip as a tool to mess with or even destroy men's lives. And it's very common, and in some cases it's cheered on. It's not challenged at all. As we know, as we've observed, as we may have experienced in our life firsthand, accountability is the #1 allergy of modern women. And justice has come down swiftly in this case. There are many, many forms of gossip, many false accusations that can be aimed and lobbed at men that can literally destroy their lives, send them to jail, put them in multiple year dire financial hardship, and destroy their connections, frame them in a way that their community, neighbors, people in their neighborhood won't interact with them, won't want to communicate with them. I've experienced that in my own life, as I've stated on this channel before. Long story short, for about a decade, I was dealing with one parent and then the other parent getting sick and facing the end of their life. It's very difficult, very complicated. While that was happening, I was dealing with a couple of chronic health conditions myself that in the last sort of year or two, I've finally, after probably, I don't know, 15 or 20 years after that long of searching and trying really hard, trying different things, and attempting to bring my life back into balance and become more functional, I finally got a handle on these health conditions. But I was really struggling. Some days I was fucked. I was very non-functional. I was visibly on my face, in my posture, in pain, physical pain, as well as limitation because of these chronic health conditions. I have a handle on it now. Both of my parents have since passed from their illnesses, but it was a long time with a lot of hardship, a lot of challenges, and it was hard to just live a normal life and just be happy and communicate with people as most people do. And, you know, I was living with a girlfriend for a lot of that time, and, you know, she dealt with some illness and death in her family, so along with, you know, the whole worldwide sickness that challenged us all, there was arguments, there was fighting. I raised my voice, and any man that raises his voice is, in the eyes of anyone gripped with sick feminine energy, is potentially a dangerous predator, right? That's how men often get framed when they're emotional. A lot of women want men to be emotional, but guess what? When men express emotion, it's usually anger. Women will be fine crying their eyes out for days at a time, and that can have its own form of manipulation when people are experiencing sadness and cry, and it can be dangerous to the individual themselves, right? It can lead to things like ending their own life if that sadness is allowed to continue too deeply for too long. But there was arguments in my household. It was heard by neighbors. It was heard by a tenant that I had for a few years, in a little bit of 2021 to about 2023. And during that time, this tenant, who was a woman who had had a bad experience with, I guess, a man in her past, stopped paying rent. She lost her job. I tried to help her out, reassure her, give her a few months of leeway and IOUs for her to get back on her feet. But at a certain point, she just stopped talking to me, refused to talk to me, refused to be in the same room alone with me. And again, all she did was hear me raise my voice in a conflict with my girlfriend. My girlfriend was definitely not a saint, not innocent. She tended towards situations that would inflame anger, as some women resort to kind of defend themselves. You know, reactive abuse is something that can be common with a lot of women or men that embody that kind of passive feminine energy. And it can be unconscious, it can be conscious, but people coming from that victimhood position will do things to inflame anger in usually a man, will do things to get him riled up and raise his voice. And then that allows that victim position that they're in to become more entrenched and allows whatever it was that they might have done that's, you know, of legitimate concern, requires some sort of negotiation or criticism. It allows them to throw that all to the side and claim victimhood, and then the person who has been inflamed, who has been provoked, has to calm down, has to apologize, and in my case, you know, people around them, like this tenant, like some neighbors, will start to question their reputation, their safety as a person. And I had my reputation destroyed. This woman in the basement didn't pay rent for about a year. For a lot of that, she refused to speak to me. And after repeatedly reminding her that I had never raised my voice to this tenant, that I had given her leeway on rent and IOUs and was very patient and verbally supportive with her, her final justification was that my neighbors heard me get angry and heard me yell and raise my voice, as though it somehow justified not paying rent, as though it somehow justified her refusing to be in the same room as me, like I was dangerous. And just remember, most often, men express their emotions through anger, right? This is just one of the masculine expressions. Now, a man who gets angry and starts beating people up, right? or breaking everything around them. That's something that is dangerous. That's something that needs work, needs regulation. And nobody likes an angry person. Nobody likes a person that uncontrollably cries all the time or is sad and depressed all the time, as much as you might care for them. But this emotion that men express most often is demonized. I experienced it. This woman in the basement, with her trauma, projected it onto me and used gossip from neighbors. I've got a few clucky hens, screeching harpies in my vicinity, unfortunately, that have tarnished my reputation within my community. But it's fucking disgusting. And it's a version of what many men have experienced. It cost me $17,500. Again, the sick feminine energy, fairness, authenticity, logic, these kinds of things are out the window when a person is gripped by sick feminine energy. Men can be gripped by it too, but most often it's women that are gripped by it. And so this T-app, well, this T-app was an online digital tool with the reach of the entire world. Any digitally internet-connected individual in the world could download this T-app and basically do to other men without their knowledge what had been done to me in my own neighborhood, right? And it can lead to people having their businesses destroyed. Cost me $17,500. It can cost people much more if they lose their business because people think that they're a terrible person. It can destroy relationships between lovers. It can destroy friendships. It can destroy the bonds between family. And again, the way that this sick feminine energy operates is in the shadows. Because if a person can defend themselves, then that lie or truth that's been twisted to dark and destructive ends, that truth can be contested or reframed in a fair and just way. And that kind of dispels the magic. There's a lot of word magic that goes on with gossip, and now with social media, that word magic is focused and amplified. This T-app was a tool for focusing and amplifying word magic. Only women were allowed on the app. You had to be verified through various identifications to make sure that you were a woman to be able to get onto the app. And again, that's how it worked. Because if men were allowed on the app, then some men at some point would encounter a post about them and be able to actually set the record straight, be able to defend themselves, be able to bring some balance and fairness to the situation, and challenge these dark, destructive, behind-the-scenes attacks. It's been a very difficult thing for me to deal with. I don't know exactly what the gossip was, other than I raised my voice at some point and got upset. But I still deal with this kind of dark, mysterious reputation in my neighborhood. And I don't know if I'll ever be able to actually encounter it and set the record straight and try to clear my name. So finally, masculine energy, with its justice and reason, is standing up and putting its foot down. Archetypally, this is happening in the world. There is a shift in the archetypal fabric of the West in particular. And a lot of this rampant, uncontrolled, uncontested, sick feminine energy that really gripped the Western world for almost a decade, for 10 or 15 years, it's not flying the same way that it was. It's being contested or completely dismissed. These bubbles of word magic and gossip are being popped. And so the T-app has received swift justice. Divine justice, karma, whatever way you want to put it. Justice has come down swiftly. This nasty, I would say even evil, gossip tool, all the members got leaked. Someone hacked the system, all their pictures and their personal information got leaked. And so, in some cases, some men actually got to see some of these posts and are now able to set the record straight and challenge this kind of reputation destruction. Hopefully, more and more, we will see this. Now, some men with this information of the users and some of the posts on the T-app have taken that and have created sort of, I guess it's somewhat petty, I mean it's understandable, but it's sort of petty revenge, but have made, you know, their own sites, their own communities for men to rate the pictures of the women on the T-app. Supposedly, they weren't particularly attractive women by, kind of Western current beauty standards. So I'm sure that many of them are getting slammed, are getting very unflattering feedback about their appearance. But more importantly, and this needs to happen, and it is luckily starting to happen with false accusation, there are people, I think mostly men, taking legal action. Hopefully against the person who started the app, which turned out to be a gay man, which is fine. It's fine for a person to not be traditionally masculine, but to present an evil tool like this to women who, when left unchecked, when they don't have enough work that they've done on their own shadow, will embody sick feminine energy and use things like gossip to attack people, usually behind the scenes in a way that they can't defend themselves. So hopefully he's going to be getting some legal repercussions. And some of the women who have made these posts, who have wielded this sick feminine energy and brandished this reputation destruction, they're getting some comeuppance as well. There is some legal action against multiple members that is being undertaken right now. And as it should be. This is good, fighting back against evil. There needs to be repercussions. We should all learn to forgive. So in some cases, other people don't necessarily deserve forgiveness, but you have to find a place in yourself to forgive yourself for putting yourself in certain situations. But if you're just a man who is minding your own business or did your best to be in a relationship and someone has taken that and is now behind the scenes in some, dark secret community fucking with you and your reputation, that's evil, that's wrong. And karma is coming through to wield the hammer of justice and come down on the creator of this app, we'll see, but some of the women who engaged in reputation destruction. False accusation is very serious for men. It doesn't mean the same thing for women, right? If you call a man a rapist, if you call him someone who is attracted to or moves towards, tries to creep on children, if you even just say, he gets really angry and yells, right? That's enough to make people think that you're a physically dangerous person. I've never had a problem controlling my body, right? I get angry, I raise my voice, I have a powerful voice, right? So I'm not even necessarily yelling, but my voice gets loud. And so if I'm upset, my voice gets louder. That doesn't mean I'm going to hurt anybody. That doesn't mean I'm going to attack anybody. And I don't deserve to be treated like I'm dangerous or I've done something wrong just because I got upset. If someone else hears that, mind your business. You don't know what that man's going through. You don't know how he's been provoked. And in some cases I was provoked, right? For men, false accusations can end many aspects of their life and affect them negatively for many years. And women just don't have that possibility. If someone is accused of something, whatever that is, they should be able to hear that accusation, face their accusers, and have a chance to defend themselves, whether that's in a court of law or in sort of social court. This is how it always should be. So we're going to see this masculine energy with more reason and fairness step into the spiritual landscape, put their foot down, and bring real world repercussions. I'm so thankful that swiftly this evil T app has been addressed and essentially taken down and exposed for the tool of darkness and destruction that it really was. And I think as these kinds of repercussions start to become known, it will curtail this kind of rampant behavior that men have had to deal with for a number of years now. The pendulum is swinging and balance is slowly moving back towards the center. People should be able to defend themselves. And men are starting to. So be careful. Don't move behind the scenes and attack people. It's just not going to be worth it. Even if you don't have some moral objection to it, repercussions will come your way. So be fair. And if you see people destroying someone else's reputation in some sort of sphere, whether it's on the street in your neighborhood or it's somewhere on social media, let the target of that reputation destruction know. Be honest. Burst that word magic bubble. Whatever it is, wherever it is. You can do your part. to bring balance back to the world. And we can all live in a brighter tomorrow today. I hope that this message finds you in a good and balanced place, and let's all keep fighting the good fight. See you later.